Welcome to part 2 of my Pokemon Diamond No Random Encounters playthrough. We ended part 1 by learning about Team Galactic blowing up a lake, so we'll be starting this video by going to check that out to continue the story. Over at Lake Valor, there are a whole bunch of Galactic grunts to fight, and feel sad about the pile of stranded Magikarp that isn't at all hilarious. Inside Valor Cavern, I fight the third and final Galactic Commander, Saturn. His Kadabra gets OHKO'd by Agony, who also takes down the Bronzor with Ominous Wind and Feint Attack. Wrath's Fly takes down the Toxicroak, winning the battle. Saturn reveals part of Galactic's evil plan to capture the Lake Trio to make a new universe, and I head down to Lake Verity, where I need to rescue Lucas from Commander Mars. Mars opens with a Golbat. While Golbats and Zubats aren't particularly hard to take out, they have been a consistent pain in my ass since they're one of the most common Pokemon that Team Galactic use, and almost always confuse my Pokemon. I take out a Bronzor and Perugly with little issue. Then Team Galactic leaves the area, and I'm sent off to check on my rival at Lake Acuity. Routes 216 and 217 are where I started to be out-leveled by random trainers. While it's not a big deal now, this is an issue that would only grow as the run progressed. I made sure to run around in the snow until I found the Rock Climb HM, then made my way up to the lake. Turns out you need the badge from the Snowpoint City gym to get into the lake, so off we go. It took me an embarrassingly long time to get through the gym because my dumbass thought that I had to destroy all of the snowballs, not just the ones in the way. After about 20 minutes of sliding around, I finally realized that I can just, walk up to the gym leader. Being the Ice-type gym leader, Candace's team is weak to Fighting-type moves, which means that Violence finally gets to do something. Despite being slightly lower leveled than Candace's Pokemon, Violence is able to nearly one-shot her Snover. Wrath comes out to deal with her Medicham by using Fly a couple times. Then Violence comes back out to one-shot her Sneasel, then passes out, leaving Agony to deal the final blow to her Abomasnow. And just like that, I've gotten the Icicle badge. Fortunately, there's nothing left to do but track down my rival and save his sorry ass from criminal scum. We roll up just in time to see the beautiful sight of my rival getting clowned on by this weak-ass Galactic Commander, who helpfully lets us know that the Galactic HQ is in Veilstone. So off to Veilstone City it is. I remember the Galactic HQ being a lot harder to navigate as a kid. There are a handful of teleporters, but the dungeon is pretty linear. When there are multiple teleporter options in a room, one is the correct way forwards while the others are typically just little side rooms with an item or two. Earlier, I remembered that Blissey needs to hold a rock to evolve, and after taking out one of the many Galactic grunts, it evolves into a Chansey. So now Boredom is slightly less useless. Now I have to fight Cyrus. After spewing out one of the edgiest monologues I've read in a hot minute, he tosses out a Murkrow that Blasphemy wipes the floor with, then he brings out a Golbat to the same result. Then Violence punches his Sneasel out of existence, and after beating him, Cyrus gives me the Master Ball. For some reason. The Galactic HQ very quickly goes from nondescript sci-fi office space to kid-friendly SCP containment facility. Commander Saturn is nothing more than a Kadabra-wheeling speed bump on the way to freeing the Lake Trio, and this is the last major fight that won't be absolute hell to get through. Now it's time to make my way up to the summit of Mount Coronet, where the ruined Temple of Sinnoh is. Cyrus summons the god of time through a black hole, who covers the world in time squiggles. I'm not actually super clear on what exactly is going on here. The end of the world, I assume, so I guess I should stop it. My rival rolls up to try to steal the glory of defeating the Galactic commanders, Mars and Jupiter, so it's double battle time. The rivals still suck, so I bring Blasphemy out to use Surf and just murder everyone indiscriminately. While the Galactic commanders themselves aren't particularly challenging, the difficulty comes from the fact that I didn't go back to rest after making my way up here, so I've got limited PP for the moves I've used on trainers on the way here. After the fight, my rival finally does something helpful and heals my team before the Cyrus fight, in which I get checked hard by his Haunch Crow and Gyarados. Which means I have to refight the commanders to get back to Cyrus. On round 2, Blasphemy has a much better time dealing with the Haunch Crow and forcing Cyrus to send out his Gyarados instead. I swap into Wrath, and I'm not totally sure why because he almost instantly got KO'd, but I did get Cyrus to burn a Super Potion and do a little more damage with Wrath's Aftermath. Agony got incredibly lucky and was able to get a Hypnosis in before the Gyarados could get a second attack, which allowed me to Dream Eater my way to knocking the Gyarados out. Blasphemy comes back out to finish off the Haunch Crow, then Violence one-shots the Weevil that's 10 levels higher than him. Violence is also able to paralyze the Crobat before falling out of the fight, allowing Blasphemy to drown the bat with Surf. Lucas and Professor Rowan show up, allowing me to save before confronting Dialga. I opted to just use the Master Ball on Dialga turn 1, a mistake that would haunt me later. Now with Kronos, God of Time on my team, and Galactic dealt with once and for all, the only thing left to do is get the last gym badge and take on the Elite Four. On the way to Sunyshore City, Boredom finally evolved into its final form, Blissey. I did make a quick detour to start my hunt of the Lake Trio by catching Azelf. Agony makes this fight surprisingly easy, as they're immune to psychic attacks, which is most of what Azelf can do. Of course, once I whittled its health down, it still took a bajillion turns to actually catch him, but all in all, a relatively simple legendary catch. I stop by the lighthouse to let the gym leader know we're here to fight, then go start making my way through the gym. The last gym of the run, fittingly, has the typing that I've had the most trouble with throughout the game: Electric. The first trainer battle of the gym doesn't bode particularly well, but I am able to get a couple levels before the gym leader fight. Almost everything I have is weak to electric type moves, so Volkner is hell. My first attempt, Violence instantly got knocked out by his Raichu, who went on to kill Boredom and paralyzed, then pop my balloon, so yeah, not promising. On my second attempt, I opened with Agony, who was able to put the Raichu to sleep and take off some of its health, before being knocked out, where Kronos came in to demolish the stupid Sparky Rat. Violence tried and failed to deal with the Octillery, leaving Wrath to clean up his mess. Wrath is hella fast, so I leave him out to use Fly on the Luxray, which isn't very effective and leaves him open to getting one shot. Nice. Boredom manages to confuse the Luxray before dying. Blasphemy Surf is able to take off almost all of Luxray's health on pure luck, before also getting knocked out, and then I took out Kronos and won the gym. I am obnoxiously underleveled at this point, so I take a detour to try tracking down the rest of the Lake Trio before heading for the Elite Four. Not that catching them will get me any XP, but it does offer me the opportunity to fight trainers that I missed in the areas around the lakes. I go to trigger Mesprit so it starts roaming, and here is where I realized how big of a mistake I made when using the Master Ball on Dialga. I'm pretty sure I just repressed the memory of doing this as a kid because good god, this is awful. I tried for hours to paralyze the fucker, or at least do damage, and I didn't get a single goddamn hit in. Then I spent all of my money on quick balls to try my hand at getting obscene luck. I did go back and attempt to catch it periodically during my grinding sessions preparing for the Elite Four, but I never even got close to catching it. Yuxi, on the other hand, is basically the same deal as Azelf, except I'm higher level now and risk accidentally murdering it. I just use Agony, who's, again, immune to most of its attacks, to get its health low and then throw Dusk Balls until I caught it. At the end of Victory Road, there's one last rival fight in the Poké Center. His team is almost the same as before, with the main difference being that his Munchlax has evolved into a Snorlax. That, and the fact that everything on his team is 5 to 10 levels higher than my own Pokemon. With that last obstacle out of the way, I can finally go on to challenge the Elite Four. Oh, the Elite Four. For anyone who doesn't know, you have to beat all 4 members and Champion Cynthia back to back to back, and the only way you can heal between fights is by using whatever items you have with you. I made sure to buy a bajillion max potions and ran around collecting as many PP recovery items as possible. I honestly don't even know how many attempts I made at these fights before I finally got through. My first try was an unmitigated disaster. Most of my team was around level 43 to 45, with only Kronos being at level 50. So what I did was get my ass handed to me, go use the Versus Seeker to fight trainers on Victory Road until every member of my team had leveled up, get my ass handed to me a few more times, rinse and repeat until my team was at level 50, and then this happened. The first member of the Elite Four uses bug types, so Wrath's Fly is very helpful for both dishing out and avoiding damage. I got incredibly lucky and avoided a poison-inflicting attack until the very end of the fight, then finished it off with a Shadow Ball, in an effort to conserve my uses of Fly. Since Drapion is a Poison Dark type instead of an actual bug type, I sent out Kronos to use Roar of Time on him, since he was resistant to most of Drapion's attacks. For the Heracross, I sent out Violence since he was resistant to all of his fighting type moves, to have a chance to heal Wrath's poison before swapping back to him. Getting extremely lucky and avoiding 2 Mega Horns in a row gave me enough time to attack with Fly, which was enough to one-shot it. I kept Wrath in for the Beautifly and took it out with another single use of Fly. I tried the same trick on the Vespiquen and was able to take it out with just a couple of attacks. With the first and by far the easiest of the Elite Four down, I heal my team back up to full and go take on the next challenge. Next up is the Ground type trainer, so I make sure to put Blasphemy in the first spot before taking on Bertha. Of course, she opens with the Quagsire, who's a Water Ground type, so I immediately swap to Kronos and start spamming Roar of Time until it goes down. Now Blasphemy comes out to deal with the Hippowdon, which is only able to withstand 2 hits from Surf. Same deal for the Golem, who only takes a single Surf to down. And then it's Whiscash, another Water Ground type, so I swap back into Kronos and pray that it doesn't kill it immediately. The God of Time is in fact faster than the giant fish, and is able to barely survive long enough to get in a Roar of Time and a Dragon Claw, putting it in critical HP range, so I'm able to safely heal on the next turn because Bertha will do the same. Then I just use Dragon Claw to whittle down its health while taking minimal damage. Finally, it's time for the Sudowoodo, who's actually a Rock type instead of a Ground type, but still very vulnerable to Blasphemy's Surf. It then pulls out Earthquake and kills Blasphemy, leaving Violence to clean up with close combat. and that puts me into the back half of the Elite Four, where things go from hard but doable to an actual nightmare. The first two have Pokemon that are only around 5 levels higher than what I've got. Now the level gap's getting closer to 10. Flint is a Fire-type Elite Four member, despite there only being like 2 non-mythical Fire-type Pokemon in the entirety of Sinnoh. And of course he has them both. The rest of his Pokemon are random types, but all know at least one Fire-type move. He opens with his Rapidash, so I open with Blasphemous Surf. Surviving this fight came down to pure RNG on whether or not the Rapidash would one-shot me with one of its stupid powerful Fire-type moves. I sent Wrath in to try to take advantage of his speed and flying-type moves, and instantly got KO'd, then swapped into Boredom to try to get Blasphemy back in the fight with Healing Wish, which went the same way. I was finally able to kill it by putting it to sleep with Agony and aiding its dreams. Violence then had little issue dealing with the Lopunny, and took off half the Steelix health before passing out. Blasphemy was able to knock the Steelix out with yet another Surf. I used Chronos with Ancient Power to get the Drifblim's health down to critical range, and used the next turn to revive Wrath, who was somehow able to defeat the Drifblim 8 levels higher than it, while starting at half health and being burned. The final and most difficult member of the Elite Four is the Psychic-type user Lucian. Agony leads the way, since Psychic types are weak to both Dark and Ghost-type moves. A couple Dark Pulses are enough to take out the Mr. Mime, 2 more and a Max Potion almost take down the Alakazam, and then it uses Recover and I just about have an aneurysm. Eventually, I do kill it with Dark-type moves, but it's all around a bad time. The Girafarig nearly kills Agony, so I swap into Boredom to make use of his only skill, Martyrdom. Healing Wish restores all of Agony's health, and he's able to kill the Giraffe. Now the hard part. This fucking Bronzong was the end of so many attempts. Despite being Psychic Steel-type, it has none of the Psychic weaknesses. In fact, this thing is weak to literally nothing I have, and is resistant to the majority of my attacks. Blasphemy was able to do shockingly well against it before the Giant Bell used Earthquake, massacring my boy. Chronos came out to do a little bit of chip damage, and more importantly, revive and heal Blasphemy before dying. Blasphemy is finally able to take out the Bell with a bunch of water moves, because I'm pretty sure it ran out of PP for anything other than Calm Mind, and now all that's left is the Medicham. It's fighting type, so Wrath comes out to fly, then Agony finishes off the last Pokemon in the Elite Four's arsenal. Now I have to fight Cynthia, which will totally be an easy fight that I will have no trouble winning. I saved between the Elite Four and Cynthia, and holy shit, this fight alone took so much time over so many attempts. I used the last few PP restore items I had for some of my more powerful moves that I couldn't use anymore, such as Kronos' Roar of Time. I stopped counting the number of attempts once I hit double digits. Could I have gone back and ground out some more levels? Absolutely. But I had convinced myself that it was possible to beat her from this point with a little luck, and I also just didn't want to drag out this playthrough any more than I already had, so I just beat my head against this fight for a long ass time. First up is Spiritomb, who I'm luckily able to put to sleep before he kills my much further Spiritomb, thanks to RNGesus. It stays asleep for long enough for me to take off most of its health. And when I thought that Cynthia was going to use her full restore to wake it up and heal the thing, I put it to sleep again, then swapped into Wrath to hit it with Fly and kill it. I bring out Chronos to try to hurt the Milotic, but it doesn't seem to be very effective. Then, for some reason, Cynthia swapped into her Lucario, who I was able to kill with a combination of Healing Wish and Agony's Hypnosis Dream Eater combo, which also worked to take off most of the big slug's HP bar. until Kronos came in to do a Roar of Time to take it out without giving Cynthia a chance to use a full restore. I swap into Agony to try to put the Garchomp to sleep and give Kronos a chance to do as much damage as possible since Garchomp is weak to Dragon-type moves, and since Giga Impact has to recharge after it's used, I'm able to kill it with Kronos. Now I have to try to deal with that fucking Milotic again. I get lucky and put it to sleep before it gets the chance to do anything. Agony is able to eat enough of its dreams that one good hit should finish it off. So after Agony faints, Kronos uses Roar of Time and down it goes. Finally, the last obstacle of the run is in front of me, Roserade. Violence is able to paralyze it, and I'm able to use a Moo Moo Milk, my last healing item, on Wrath before Violence goes down. Wrath is then able to take off the remaining half of its health bar with his last use of Fly, and I've done it. A few last lines of dialogue from Cynthia and Professor Rowan, and then the credits roll. So, can you beat Pokemon Diamond without random encounters? Yes, you can. It leaves you with a pretty weird team, but it's a fun little challenge. All in all, a very enjoyable experience. Up until the Elite Four, but that's mostly on me for refusing to grind any more than absolutely necessary. But that's gonna do it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with a brand new challenge run. Bye!